Hey, so you guys voted on the poll and this video won second place slot, right next to learning more about the new additions to the Renegades Rogue Gallery. So let's talk about the plot in vague terms because no spoilers. I think I can give you some details without outright spoiling anything, or anything major. The summary does give quite a bit. The team is still hunting for Ivan and are searching for any signs of him since they defeated him at the end of book 1. It's been months since that incident and so far he hasn't made a move. As they're doing a heist to get supplies to finish repairing their flying base, they find a lead that leads them all the way to Japan, and they arrive just in time to witness a gang of mercenaries attacking a building. The Renegades then jump into action and quickly wind up in the crosshairs of the main antagonist and his squad. But all is not what it seems, as they uncover a very disturbing and sinister conspiracy with some ties to members of their own team, and things only escalate from there. One thing I felt I could improve on when it came to book 1 was focusing on the characters more, as I felt that after they all teamed up, the action and plot became a bigger focus, and there were some plot points and character beats that were raised, but I never resolved them. So one of the things that I want to focus on with this one is answering some of the questions I raised in the first book, specifically around Ronan. Ronan is kind of an enigma. He can't remember his past, and he doesn't know who or what he is. You're going to get some answers about Ronan, and some of those answers may raise some more questions that will be answered later. Another thing that was mentioned in book 1, but I didn't have time to flesh out properly, was that Ronan doesn't really feel emotions. Whatever he is, they don't feel emotions like the rest of us, and Ronan's very good at emulating and pretending like he does have emotion, but it's just a facade. Part of the story focuses on this and his struggles with that, and as the plot goes on, the facade starts to fade, and events in the plot cause a shift in Ronan. This shift is also brought on by another character. On top of that, Ronan learns more about his past and confirms some things that were suggested and implied in book 1, though like I said, some of these answers will lead to more questions. And we get to see a different side of Ronan besides the wisecracking, sarcastic, easygoing, not really giving a shit side that we've seen up until this point. He isn't the only one in the spotlight though. Sam is also struggling with some inner demons and his insecurities. He's still dealing with the sense of guilt over what happened with his father and brother and blames himself for what Ivan did to them, even though it wasn't his fault. He tries to deal with it on his own, but someone reminds him that he's part of a team, and the whole point of being a team is you don't have to do everything by yourself. There's a lot more going on here. Drake has his own arc dealing with the shocking revelation he learns while in Japan. Let's just say there's something that hits him a little too close to home, as a figure from his past shows up in a completely unexpected way. You're also going to learn a little bit more about what's going on with Isaac and his doppelganger Nero, and yeah, I can't say too much, but things get really dark with that. Dark might be putting it lightly, because, oh boy. I wish I could talk about that more, but again, spoilers. You can definitely expect more character development and more of an emphasis on internal and, in some cases, external conflicts with themselves and the rest of the team. Don't worry, the action ain't going anywhere. There's still plenty of that. The team now has access to more, shall we say, borrowed military hardware and are more well-equipped than what we saw in book 1. They're also much more coordinated as they've had time to train and learn how each other operate better. And I wanted to show them being more capable and acting more like a unit. Despite their new tech and more training, things are not going to be any easier for them this time around, as it's not just the mercenaries they have to deal with. They have to unravel a dark conspiracy that I mentioned that has ties to members of the team. Can't say which ones, but you're welcome to take your best guess in the comments. One of the things that I regretted with book 1 was that I didn't give the Renegades that many opportunities to actually help people. They were a little too focused on stopping Ivan, but with book 2 I wanted to address that and actually have them saving people more. There's a pretty big moment in the story where the villains are escaping and civilians are in danger, and rather than pursuing the villains, they go to help the civilians instead, and they all realize they can do more than just stop Ivan. And with the resources at their disposal, they should be doing more than that. Again, I gotta keep it vague because I don't want to spoil anything, and it's probably one of my favorite moments in the book. One thing I can talk about more is the setting. We're going to Japan for this one, and Japan in this universe is pretty much divided in two. On one side, you have a futuristic metropolis, and on the other side, it's called the Old World, and you have a much more traditional side that shuns modern technology and lives like their ancestors. The Old World is governed by clans of ninjas, and sometimes these ninjas are hired by outsiders for espionage and assassinations. In book 2, both sides are going to be explored, especially in the short story Akane's Hunt. Speaking of that, as I mentioned, there are 2 short stories included in book 2. Akane's Hunt and Operation Shroud. Akane's Hunt focuses on a new character who will be very important going forward, and their connection to a villain you've already met, the White Wolf Kenji. I really wanted to include at least some bits of his backstory in book 1, but I couldn't find a good time or place to put it in. But in this short, you learn a little bit more about him. Without giving too much away, it's a revenge story involving ninjas and a decent amount of blood. The other short story, Operation Shroud, actually takes place 2 months before the main events of book 2 and focuses on Chris and Phoenix from the first one. Originally, I wanted them to appear in the main story, but I couldn't find a place for them in book 2, as I already had a lot going on. I didn't want it to feel too crowded, but I still wanted them to do something. This story focuses on them investigating a terror attack from Ivan's organization, and the case takes them all the way to Germany. The events of Operation Shroud are going to heavily tie in with what's coming in book 3. Alright, I think that's as much as I can give away without spoiling too much of the story. Depending on when this video goes live, the book will either be fully released on Amazon or still available for pre-order. The link will be in the cards in the description and a pinned comment. If any of this interested you, please check out the book, and I hope you enjoy it.